SOS Online Backup, important website to be familiar with. You have SOS Home, Business, and then the Partner section, which is where we're really looking to pay attention. For additional questions and answers, you get help. So here's our Get Help button. Click this, and it's going to bring you into our support hours and hotlines. So you can call into our support staff. It's a 6 to 6 PST, Monday through Friday. We just moved all of our support staff, or most of our support staff, here to Los Angeles. So we are operating out of LA. And the flow that we recommend for getting more answers is first, check out our knowledge base. The knowledge base is put together on the basis of every time one of our support reps gets a question, they first check the knowledge base with that question and the word that it was asked to make sure that an answer comes up. If an answer doesn't, their job is to make sure it does eventually. So this knowledge base is a living, breathing document of what you need to know to get things done in our system. So everything that we're covering today is in the knowledge base. If you do a quick search for guide, you will see a full, what's called the SOS server state installation and user guide. This is going to give you a really long list of things to do, but it includes every part of our system. So it's a nice guide to have on record. So it also refers to other more specific articles throughout the guide. So, for example, the idea of a staging machine and how you set that up, we have a separate article for that, and it's linked here. So throughout this article, you do that. And this is updated on a weekly basis, so a good article to be familiar with. Also, register for the knowledge base up here. You just go to sign up, register with your name, email address, Twitter account if you like, I guess. What we're going to do is we can add you to what we call our partner advisory community. Once we do that, you get to see all sorts of special things like roadmaps, pre-release notes, pre-release builds. So if you're interested in really forming how we put together our features and our services, you can do that. We also have a partner-only feature request area. That's really nice because that's a big part of how I prioritize the items that we're going to go about. So feature requests in public community forums. We comment back and forth, so some of these things like 20 different comments on progress status. There have been different things. We post up mock-ups, all sorts of good stuff. But the knowledge base is how you get a hold of us. If you can't find an answer in the knowledge base, submit a ticket. Through submit a ticket, you can record, take screenshots, whatever you want to do. You're going to get a ticket back. Once you get the ticket back, then feel free to call in or chat in with the ticket number. No, you don't have to submit a ticket first, but it's the best way to go about it. If anyone's ever played the game telephone with a bunch of people, that's what you're doing with support if you don't submit a ticket first. You're going to communicate the issue that you're having, and then the person on the other end is going to type that out in the description. And there is a human error possibility whenever humans are involved, and you can avoid that by just submitting a ticket yourself. It'll be faster and more effective. Any questions on getting help hereafter? Good comment. You can use Google as well. So you just Google search. You'll probably come up with some older YouTube videos, but Google your problems away. Sure. All right, let's go right into the dashboard. So you come to the dashboard at dashboard.sosonlinebackup.com. These credentials are sent to you in an email with delivery, and then you can also change the credentials if you like. The basic structure of the dashboard is news and updates at the top. This is where we post important things you should pay attention to. So, we make a dashboard release almost every week, and we make a new product release every month. So it's important to maybe have a refresher every month or every 2 months, or at least review the release notes. We do also have a blog where we post our updates. So if you go to blog.infrascale.com, you can take a look at the features that we've released. So in client messaging and branding, native support for Exchange 2010. So this is a good resource for you to have and subscribe to as well. We'll be adding a link to that in our dashboard that's new. But the news and updates you can subscribe to via RSS or email. You can view all and read more into detail. So that's a good thing to look at. The next list are little viewports that go into different tools. So you have first account usage. This gives you kind of your upsell opportunities. So you have the backup account, you have the size of the account, and you have the percent used space of the account. So all be partner demos at 70%, so we give a little yellow warning sign, meaning there you could possibly upsell this person to a bigger account size at this point. If it goes red, then of course you do want to let them know that they're going over. We have a light enforcement of account usage in our system, so just as our salespeople will call you when you're nearing your usage, which is shown at the top right here, you or your salespeople can contact your customers when they're nearing their account usage. Then you have probably the more important aspect of things, which is the activity alerting. This is going to give you your day-to-day task list when it comes to backup anyways. So we come in here and we filter by the bad stuff. Show me all the bad stuff that's going on right now. So here we have a really easy stoplight system. Red is bad, yellow is not good, green is good. So we come and look and we see, okay, this account running on this machine was running a file and folder backup. The last known successful date was the 26th, and there has been no activity in the last week. If we open this up, we can see the last known activity. So just backed up one file. We use this system for trials, so this is probably just a dead trial. So I'll go ahead and just remove this record. And so on. The different statuses can be based on whether the account is between backups or actually running a backup. So you have green for the backup has completed on time and it seems to be running on schedule. Yellow means the backup hasn't run in the last 3 days, and this is the last known status of it. And then the red means the backup hasn't run in a week. So that's in between backups. Now if the backup's actually running, you'll see a status of uploading, and you'll get an update every 15 minutes as far as how many files have been backed up, how many files have had errors, etc. If the check-in skips more than twice, so 45 minutes comes around and there's been no update, then it goes to yellow, meaning no backup events. And it'll give you the last known status. And then if 2 hours goes by and there's been no event update, then it goes to red, meaning backup failed, or no events from backup. It doesn't necessarily mean the backup has failed. It just means for whatever reason it's not communicating to this dashboard, but in all likelihood it means the backup isn't running anymore. The status, or this column is pretty simple to read. Again, red, yellow, green. Status, either completed, it's the last known status, so it's either completed and it hasn't run the last week, or it's failed, meaning there's no event records, or it's uploading and it's good to go. The account is actually the backup account. So if we click the backup account, it gives us an account summary. So either sign up date, the account size, use space, the email address assigned to the account, whether it's ultra safe or not. The system name. So this is where the backup account is actually installed. So we call the combination of the backup account and a system name a backup deployment. The backup type, right now we have 3 backup types. We have file and folder backup, we have exchange backup, and we have image stream backup. So file and folder is pretty much what it sounds like. You're just selecting, your My Documents, Office files, PDFs, things of that nature. Exchange is exactly what it sounds like. We're backing up Exchange databases. And then image stream is for backing up bare metal image backup files, specifically created by Shadow Protect. Then the last event date, very self-explanatory, details, and further actions. You can filter by account or system name, but this is mostly for a day-to-day event, so you can also have a distribution list or multiple email addresses that are going to get this exported into an email every morning at 6 a.m. Central Time. So every morning you get an email, and it starts with the errors at the top and just goes through and gives you all the information that we see here, including the details. Any questions on the monitoring? All right, looks pretty good. So besides monitoring, then you have management functionality. So you see what's happening. Let's look at managing accounts. So we can go into View All here under Account Usage, or we can go into View Accounts, which is a little tool button here. Let's hit View Accounts. We have a couple different filters. We have a filter by a specific account name, an email address. So if you don't know the account name, but you have the email address of the person who owns the account, you can search for an account that way. And you can also filter by company. So you get a list here that has a drop-down of all the different companies that I, as a partner, have created. Or I can just show all. So let's hit all, we'll hit apply. How many of you have been partners for longer than a couple of months and have been enjoying the new company feature? Any feedback on? I know a couple of you have. Okay, so company name, size, use space, whether it's a trial or not, and the sign-up date, and then alerts. So if there are some alerts with this backup account, we can hit this, and it shows us the system name, the event date, and the event. That's a nice little just a nice little way to back and forth between information. Then you have different actions depending on whether it's a company that is your company, so it's a company that you've sold directly, or if it's under a company admin. So if you have a backup account that is under a different company, then most of the management functions are by that company administrator. I'll show you what that means. So you go to Actions, we can manage backup policies. A backup policy is a backup set and schedule. So we can define that, and I'll show you how to create a backup policy. But if you go to Manage, and then here you enter a machine name. So let's say, System 3. And then from this drop-down, you select a list of policies. So let's say, we don't want anything selected for this backup. Hit Apply, and that's it. To remove a policy, you come in here and hit Delete. So policies override any locally set backup sets or schedules. We can move account to a company. So let's say those of you who have been around for a little bit, you just got the company support recently. So you created some companies, and now you need to move some of these accounts to a company. So you say move account to company, new company drop down, and you select the one that you'd like. Hit OK. And that's it. Now that company is the company's usage is going to be based on the addition of that account as well. So if we go to an account that is not under our company, you see we only have two functions. It's move account to company and log in as backup account. So log in as backup account is actually going to take us to the My Account system for the online backup, so actually access to the backup data. This is disabled if the account is ultra safe. So if the account is ultra safe, the administrator will not be able to do this. We can also change the account size. So changing the account size, we can upgrade or downgrade accounts. You cannot downgrade an account below the used space of the account. And you can also cancel the account. If you cancel an account, do not treat cancel like a temporary thing. This does queue up the account data to be purged after 60 days of cancellation. So it's not a light thing to do. What you might want to do first is create a backup policy where the backup account simply will not run. It won't scan any items. So let's talk about policies a little bit. So we come back to our Tools section, go to Remote Backup Policies. And so we have this example policy. Sample hasn't paid. So let's say we want to suspend somebody because they haven't paid their bill. I'm just going to go to Edit because it's already created. But you have the policy name that you get to set, and then you get to control the scanner settings. So if we select Do Not Scan, it means when the backup kicks off, it's first going to check this dashboard for a policy update. So no matter what the end user has done on their end, it's going to say, we're not scanning anything. So the backup will just start and stop almost immediately because there's nothing in the backup set. So this is a really simple way to not kill somebody's backup account. They could still log into it and recover data if they needed to, but they won't be able to continue the backups. So hit save, and that's it. Now for a more pragmatic account, we just go to, sure, this one. We hit edit, and we say, okay, let's scan all folders, and we want all documents, all images, no music. In custom, we want PDFs included. Maybe we want a PST file, QBK. I hit a button. So QuickBooks backup file, the PST, and it'll scan all the folders to get that. So like all folders. Docs. And you want to give your policy name something that'll make sense to you. So everyone has their own little thing. I would just put that. Then you have the scheduler settings. So backup Windows users not logged on. So if you have a Windows admin domain credentials, you could set that just like you do in the software client. Set the frequency to be hourly, daily, whatever you like. And then also you can set the email report that's sent from the client. The email report that's sent here is different than the email report sent from the monitoring section. The monitoring section is more high level, and it will be sent whether or not the backup has done anything. This report only gets sent if the backup has finished. So if the user goes in and ends the task, or if it just didn't run at all, there will be no report sent to this person. So hit save, and now we have a policy that we might actually use, and we can go ahead and start assigning people to use this policy. Questions about policies or account management? All right, let's talk about quotas in companies and backup accounts. So first you see at the top here you have server licenses. So we have 9 of 31 used, and we have 25% of our online space allocated. So in this graph section here, we give you some information about activity. So we can see, okay, last month we backed up just 23 gigs, and the month before that it was just 18. We have use space based on a quota of 10 terabytes. So we've used a quarter of that. So we've used about 2,500 gigabytes, so just about 2. So here we have a quota for you as a partner is based off of provisioned backup account space. So it's whether you create a company and you say this company has X amount of gigabytes or terabytes to provision in the backup accounts, that takes away from your quota. And if you create a backup account by going to create backup account here, then that also takes away from your quota. We're going to view companies. You can see what we mean by that. So here we have a company name. So let's go to, let's say, your test company. Or let's do, demo admin. So company, demo company 2, demo admin. Here's the email address for this person. This company has a 500 gigabyte quota, and they've so far allocated 50 gigs, so they're about 10%, or they are 10%. Of that allocated space, they've used 0 gigabytes. So use space versus allocated. Use space means data has actually been backed up to the cloud. Licenses, this is for server seats. So if you have bare metal image creator or exchange creator and recovery, this is where the licenses will be taken from. And then it shows you the total number of accounts that have been created here. So when we have a company, we can either select the size right here to change their quota, or you have the actions bar button at the end here. And we also have the option to log in as the company admin. I log in as company admin. It's going to take me to the neutrally branded dashboard. So dashboard.manageoffsitebackup.net is where your companies will log in. Now I just did an auto login, so it doesn't redirect the URL. But your companies would be directed, or would just sign in directly to dashboard.managedoffsitebackup.net. Just like your customers sign into myaccount.managedoffsitebackup.net. So we can see they have the same basic controls that you have. So that's good. So it gives them, so this is used for either giving somebody else specific admin rights over a company that has multiple accounts. They can create new accounts if they like. So full name, email address, the username, usually the email, password, ultra safe. So if you don't want the admin to be able to auto log into the account, then you make it ultra safe. That's also for HIPAA compliance. Give some data here. Secret question and answer. This is only if it's not ultra safe. This is for password recovery. And then you select the size of the account you'd like to create. And then if you want to assign a server save license, you check that or don't. All right, any questions on company administrators? What's also nice is a lot of times you may not have a specific sysadmin that wants to see a status of a particular company every day. What you can do is, just like you do for partners, you can have a daily digest of reports for the company sent to a particular rep or a particular person or a particular email address. All right, let's log back into our partner dashboard. So let's go into rebranding settings. Rebranding settings, this is how you rebrand the software. So when people log into the software client, the rebranding is based off of what you put in here. So the product name, you can update your logo that appears in the software client. You can also update the desktop icon. The client banner is a new addition that we just added this last build, so version 5.7 has this. Then below you have different URLs, so the sender address, so if backup reports are sent to your customers, from which email address are they sent, you put that here. And then people click on the contact us or upgrade button, where do you want them going, you put that here. Pretty much it. A new thing that we've added is client messaging. This client messaging is exciting because it allows you to do a bit of cross-sell or just, in general, more branding. So here we have it first programmed by the presence or lack thereof a registry key. So if you want to cross-sell, say, antivirus systems, you could search for the registry key for that particular antivirus program. And then if it does exist, then you could put an image and something that says, hey, like our Facebook page, whatever you want to do. You really have a lot of flexibility in what it can show. Or in this case, we just made up a registry key, and we're using our FileLocker affiliate link. So we just say, hey, you should get ready with FileLocker, and this whole image at the bottom of the client is going to turn into a link to your affiliate sign-up page. So it's a nice way to cross-sell our FileLocker program if you're a part of that. Now, by default, becoming a SOS Online Backup Partner means you are already qualified to be an affiliate of our FileLocker program. So if you come to our FileLocker affiliate button down here at the bottom, you can get more information and then enable this. And then you just have this URL right here. And it'll take you to a sign-up page that will be tied back to you. You get a 20% commission on the sign-up. And if you have, say, only 200 users downstream of you, and you have just a few people from each business inviting people out, this does pay out commission 4 levels deep, so 4 referrals away from your initial sign-up. You can make a good chunk of change every month without doing a whole lot of work. And for more information on FileLocker, come to our training on Friday morning from 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. All right, then the last part of it, we have the download at the bottom here. So we have the Server Save Installer, which is really just a wrapper application that contains multiple parts of our system. We have the Online Backup for Windows, Online Backup for Windows, the MSI. So if you have questions about mass deployment via MSI, come to our knowledge base, search MSI. Well, spelled it correctly. And they spelled an acronym. Oh, that's in the feature request. And you'll get an article about how to program the MSI to go across a whole network that you have. And really, you just need to put in the username and password because you can control the policy from the cloud as well. There you go. And it looks like there's actually a video that's added here too recently. So let's get into the setup. Any questions on what we've gone through so far today? So first part, I'm just going to bring up this article about the staging machine because it does a pretty good job of showing what we're trying to do with the different services. So this picture gives us a little swim lane of our backup flow, where we install the different applications. So Image Creator is Shadow Protect by StorageCraft, and it's a bare metal image creator program, hence the name Image Creator. We put Image Creator here because you can use other systems that are bare metal image programs as well. What we're going to do is you're going to install the Image Creator system on whatever server you want a bare metal image of. You select the partition you want to be imaged, and then you send it to some local staging machine, so somewhere in your local network. From there, you install our online backup and recovery manager. This is going to take those images and take them off-site. If you have a file server or if you just have workstations and laptops, you install Online Backup and Recovery Manager directly on those workstations, laptops, and file servers as well. So the staging machine is a recommendation. It's not required, but we do highly recommend it. It's best for performance. It's best for keeping your use space under control. And it's best for an overall backup solution. So the first part is one, you save system resources here because we do have local procedures in place. We do a local encryption before we transfer, and we also do a compression of data before we encrypt. So those two procedures take up a lot of system resources depending on the size of the file. If it's a bare metal image file, it can be pretty large. So you want to make sure that you're saving those types of resources for production resources. You don't want to slow down your web server just to run a backup. Now for just file backup, the system is very quick. You can install it directly on a file server, workstation, or laptop, run it every couple of hours, and you'll be fine. Staging Machine also does a good job of giving you a local backup of your images. Images are large. If your only option to recover them is from the cloud, it's going to be a poor recovery time objective, so RTO, like how quickly can you get back up and running. So you want to make sure that you're giving yourself a belt suspenders approach to backup, and this is how you do it. If you have any more questions, feel free to look at this article. Take a look at the recommended cost. So we even put a $300 machine at the very least that you can use for this, or you can beef it up a little bit and spend $700 or $800 and get a nice machine where you can use for recoveries of virtual machines, etc. So I'm going to connect to a VM of Server 2008 running R2. I want to show you a basic setup of the bare metal image system, online backup and recovery. Everyone seeing this okay? All right, great. So first, let me close out of that. So first, I'm going to log into the server save application. So the server save application is a wrapper app. So you save the executable to your desktop. You log in. And this is really used for licensing more than anything, and to give you a nice way of getting that together. Oh, hold on. So we have Online Backup and Recovery Manager, which we showed you earlier, Bare Metal Image Creator, which is Shadow Protect, Exchange Granular Recovery, which is Exchange Granular Recovery. It's not for Exchange Backup, it's just for granular recovery of Exchange objects, like mail, specific mail messages, calendar items, contacts, etc. Here we have the License Details button. Select that. This is a serial key. For EGR, it actually is an INI file you have to download and save. That's why I have it saved right here on my desktop. And it tells you whether it's installed or not installed or needs to be updated. Workstation Backup is the same thing as Online Backup and Recovery. It's more of a functional picture as far as what it should show. So don't worry about that. And Server Save is going to be, in the next month or so, pretty much killed off, and we won't use it anymore. So you can use this to launch your applications or install them, or you can do it separately. So let's start off by creating a bare metal backup job. So launch Shadow Protect Server Edition. In Wizards, we need to create backup. So first I'm going to go to backup jobs and see what we have created. There's nothing. Okay, great. So I hit backup. There's me in the wizard, and then it says, okay, we see all this information. Which partitions would you like to create a backup of? I'm going to select this partition, disk 1, and we've named it Exchange because this is where we have our Exchange server set up. Hit next. I'm going to select your staging machine, so you put the network location. For this purpose, I'm just going to pick Virtual Drive F. So this is essentially a NAS drive that we've mapped to this machine. Hit next. Then you get your schedule, so you can do a typical bare metal backup schedule where you do a full backup once a week and incrementals until you do the next full backup. That's fine if this is just going to stay local, but if you're going to go off-site, it simply won't do. It's going to be too much data on a weekly basis to push. Your full bare metal backup file may be 50, 100 gigs, 200 gigs, 500 gigs. If you have a T1, let's say a bonded T1, so you got, close to 3 megs up and down, you may still take close to an hour per gig of data to back up and recover, and a lot of that's still based on your machine strengths and what the size of files that you're dealing with. So if you have a 100 gig file to back up every week, it may take you a whole week just to get that done, or 100 hours. So we have the continuous incremental schedule. The continuous incremental schedule is nice because it just does an incremental backup from the first point of the full, and it doesn't ever really redo a full unless you ask it to. So it's nice in that it keeps a really simple backup mechanism. What's also nice about it is it works well with what's called Image Creator, or Image Manager, sorry. Image Manager is also by StorageCraft, and it actually has a consolidation of bare metal image files on a weekly or monthly basis. This consolidation schedule actually verifies the integrity of the incrementals you're running. So anyone here have a service where they offer fire drill recoveries or test recoveries for their customers? And if you don't, it's a really good idea to do so. It's your gold standard of your package. It's gold because it's going to cost money because it costs you time, and your time is money. But it's also the really only true way to ensure that your backups are going to help you in the time of recovery. We have fire drills for people, why not for data? So Image Manager actually kind of helps you because they do an integrity test of your data as you go on. So it uses VSS. That's nice. We have it right now running every hour, 8 to 6 p.m., Monday through Friday. So you can change that however you like. You have options to encrypt or compress the data more or less. Standard's about 50%, high is about another 10 or 15 points on top of that. But it takes a little bit more time, so depending on your bandwidth, that'll be important or not important for you. You can also encrypt the backup locally. This is definitely important if you have HIPAA compliance to adhere to, as it's required. So you go to advanced, you select your encryption level, there you go. While we're in the advanced tab, we do have different commands. So this uses VSS, so it does a transactionally consistent backup. That means that if there are transactions in queue, the backup won't snapshot as they're in the middle of a transaction. So transactions come in pairs. Say we got Bryant and Tim. So Bryant's going to buy a MiG fighter from Tim for $1 million. So transaction 1 is take $1 million out of Bryant's account, and transaction 2 is put $1 million into Tim's account. If your backup is not transactionally consistent and it happens right as the first transaction happens, it means you have to recover to that point. There would be no record of that transaction at all. Transactions are only stored in pairs. And if it's in the queue, it's in progress, you miss it. Now, of course, it'll only take milliseconds to process. Crash only takes milliseconds to happen, so the risk is there. And the risk is big, especially if you're buying MiG fighters for $1 million. So you can put in different commands for programs that don't have a VSS writer in them. So if you have some old NAS-90 program, it's usually some old accounting program, something with old finance. Legal firms usually have really old database programs like that. You can take a trip back in time and just write out some bat files, and pre-snapshot you can stop it from running. Let it finish everything up, stop, and then snapshot happens, and then you start it up again. So that's nice to do. Splitting the image, this is highly recommended. You should split your files into 5 gig chunks. You can back up 100, 200, 500 gig files, but it becomes really wearing on your system. We've backed up 500 gig image files before, but it was in a test environment and it was with a powerful machine, and no other system was using the bandwidth or the internet connection it was using. So not recommended for a number of reasons to just have 200 gig files sitting around that you're backing up. So split them up into 5 gig chunks, and you'll see a much better performance with your backups and your recoveries. And the recovery method we'll show in a minute. It doesn't matter how many incrementals you have. It doesn't add any more steps for you. So okay, we've created a bare metal backup file. Let's go to online backup and recovery. So let's say, okay, we've created that, and now we want to take that off-site. So we've installed, and then we're going to launch and then log in. I just had a backup kick off too. So here I'm logged in, and we see that from the dashboard I have the banner change, and I also have this message at the bottom. So if I click this, it's going to open us up in Internet Explorer. And I'm on a server too, so it's probably not going to look so great. Might break. No, sorry. All right. Oh, there we go. All right, Internet Explorer. So you give your sign-up link here. So we got a nice little cross-sell. So we have 3 options. We have backup, restore, and advanced. And I guess the 4th option, upgrade now. This button is going to go to wherever you defined upgrade now in your rebrand settings. So let's start with these 3 options here. So we have advanced. You have the classic view, which is for recovery only. This is also where you go to delete files from your backup set. We go to options. You have options for caching. So if you're doing a large file backup, the cache is automatically set to be intelligent, meaning it's not going to cache files that are less than 500 kilobytes in size, or actually, I'm sorry, less than 2 megs in size. And it's not going to cache files that don't change typically, like medium files, PDFs, those sorts of items. So you can expect that you might need a little, some overhead space to house the cache, depending on your backup set. It could be anywhere from 30% of what you selected the backup to 100%. So the software program will let you know as you're selecting your backup set how much you may need if you're not in quota. But you can change the location of that by going to folders and then changing the cache location. You can also change where the temporary location goes. So one of the processes also is copying a file from the the original location to a temporary location from which it will be processed. So again, the process with this system is a 256-bit AES encryption locally in compression, not in that order, before it gets transferred over a 128-bit SSL. And it's stored at the same encryption. So we have these folder options. You can change that. Backup email reports can be done through the wizard. You can change your password for the account as well. And let's just go to backup. So we go to backup. We hit set up backup, and then we get our options here. So we have file and folder backup, file and folder backup locally, so to a local location. Image stream for backing up bare metal image creator files or Microsoft Exchange 2010. So I'm going to show Microsoft Exchange 2010 because this is new and this is what we're going to show today. So that'll only show up if it's recognized that there's already Exchange on the machine you've installed the system on. So if you just install this on your laptop, it's not going to show the Exchange option. So here we have the database it recognizes. So we select this database, gives us the size, the backup dates, if any, and then we set a retention policy here. This is going to back up Exchange directly off-site. It's not going to go to a local location first. So we hit next, and we run the scheduled backup, full backup every 30 days, incremental every 2. So let's say full backup every 30 and incremental backup every 1 day. So we have a daily incremental backup running. And it's going to run at, let's say, 7 p.m. Really make sure people are out of the office. Even when a user is not logged on, this is almost always going to be required when we're talking about backing up Exchange. Then we can run the backup at the end of the wizard. And then we also have an email address sent, or multiple email addresses set at the end. Hit finish. That's it. That was pretty quick. So now we're going to have this backup kick off. This is our upload agent, also known as the UA. So it pops off initially there. If nothing changed, it's going to disappear on us. So let's see if we can get a backup now of files and folders. So this is going to be based on the file and folder selected for backup here. So it's going to give us all the information we want as far as time elapsed, files changed, files not changed, new files, and then the estimated time remaining. So the first part of the backup is going to be processing through all the files, and then it's going to start transferring. So your estimated time is going to bounce around as it gets through the first few minutes of the backup. So you might find that your subsequent backups happen more quickly than the estimated time can even catch up with. And that's because there's a lot of nonlinear algorithms going on in our system, and it's simply a hard thing to get to. It's kind of like those of you who remember the old Napster days, or Kaza, or Kazaa, or however you want to pronounce it. You're downloading a file, and it says, you have 10 minutes remaining. You come back in 15 minutes, and it says 20 minutes remaining, and you're like, what are you talking about? It said 10 minutes, 15 minutes ago. So that's all it is. Here it gives us the file that's processing, and then below it's going to give us the actual status of the backup. So it's kind of like a system log. So here nothing changed, so the backup just stopped immediately. So now we have a backup set for bare metal image files, and we also have a backup set for bare metal image files for image creator, Exchange, and for networks. Let's say I just add the F drive here, backup F drive. So this is where our bare metal image files are. Hit next. Schedule this regularly, sure, why not? Hit finish. And now we're taking the bare metal image files off-site. So this is going to run. Let's look at recovery. We go to recovery, we go to restore, and you only have two options here. So it's either restore online from your online backup account or restore from a local backup file. So we go to online restore. It's going to give us a calendar view, and here it's going to refresh from the server the backups that have been run. So it's going to give us a bold date next to each backup that is actually, or a bold date for each day that has a backup that is run. So if you have a backup account that is years old, like you do with me, me, like I do, I can go back to 2008 and refresh my backup set all the way to then. So here, our backup account we're using today isn't as old, but let's go back to the 22nd. Going to refresh, and it's got 3 machines on here. Great, so we can go through, we can see some data. Wonderful. Let's go back and let's say, okay, let's show us what today's date looks like. Hit next. Now we have all these other machines that's backed up. So notice there's no per machine licensing. You can run backups wherever is required for you. And if you're like us, you may switch machines regularly or working on different machines in the office, you can back up from different parts of the office too. So let's find Lasso Demo. So Lasso Demo is here. We have our F drive, and here are all the bare metal image files. So we select bare metal image files, say, okay, we want to recover this one, or all of them, which would be likely. For demo, I'm just going to do this. If you're recovering, and there's folders that you're recovering as well, you might want to include the original path. Generally, I don't find myself recovering in that sense, so I just select a whole folder and say I'm just going to recover to a new destination. So desktop, let's make a new folder. Just recovery. Hit OK, and hit finish. And notice that I am running a recovery and a backup at the same time. It's, I guess it's double jointed. I don't know what you want to call it. It's flexible, so you can do that nicely. And it's also nice because if we go to, let's go to the classic view. If this is your first backup you were running, you could actually come in here and refresh as your first backup is running to see the files that are actually backing up. So if you came in, it's your first time, you never run a backup before, you select files to run, and you see the progress here, and that's satisfactory, at least a little bit. You could immediately sign in from another machine or from the same machine, refresh data from the server, see the machine name show up, and then start recovering files that have already been backed up. So here we go to test recovery. There's the file. It's not a full string, though, so not a very good, useful thing to show, but let's look at this. Let's go to backup drive F. And now, notice I didn't launch Shadow Protect at all, but let's just go to this file. So we have backup job 3, incremental 15. So very simple naming convention they use. B for backup, I for incremental. They also use CW for consolidated weekly and CM for consolidated monthly if you're using Image Manager. So right in Windows, I right-click this file and I select Quick Mount. This is going to intelligently look back at the entire file chain for this incremental file, and it's going to mount a new virtual drive, G, which I just saw it do. There, now it's launched me into it. And now I've launched a new virtual drive back to this point. So that's kind of what we mean by having a staging machine and why recovery is really advantageous to have a staging machine, because you can do that. So we can drill down into the exchange information, but again, that's not so helpful. That's why we have a program called Exchange Granular Recovery. So let's launch EGR. Important note, to run EGR, you do have to have online backup and recovery installed on the same machine. You also have to log into online backup and recovery with the backup account that's assigned to this license at least once. You don't have to save the password, you don't have to run a backup, you just have to log in once. To repeat, to use EGR, there's going to be a couple different authentications. The first is going to be whether or not your INI file is valid for you, which is what we saved here. The next is going to be checking against the online backup and recovery program to see that the backup account that's used in this system is the same backup account that has the EGR license assigned to it. Let me know if you want me to repeat that. Other important note, EGR licenses come by default with support up to 25 mailboxes. If you have more than 25 mailboxes for a particular customer, you must let your partner specialist know or contact support and let them know. You can upgrade to 50 mailboxes for free, and the pricing change you get from your partner specialist thereafter. So again, the EGR license, how many mailboxes do I have? You can even open it up and it'll tell you right here. It has support for 25 mailboxes. Nothing you can do to change this INI file. You have to send it to us. So if you need more mailboxes for one of your EGR licenses, contact support and your partner specialist, and they'll be able to take care of you. Again, it's a free upgrade up to 50 mailboxes. After that, there's a price difference. So I've loaded up my EGR, or my EDB file, my Exchange database file, and I can start browsing through the information. So this is, a granular recovery of it. So I can even search through the whole system. So I can say, okay, I want to search through just that user, or just search through everything. So somebody comes up and says, there's some attachment, it says management something or other, and I don't know when it was sent or who sent it to me. You need to find it now. So you say, okay, you have all these messages. Are any of these it? And you just say, I don't know. Is there any more information? So you double-click the message, and it gives you a nice little preview of the message. Also gives you a preview of the attachment right here. So he says, oh, that's the one. That's awesome. You're the best. How do you get that to me? I need that yesterday. And you said, no problem. So you're going to first load up your live Exchange database. So this is required that you are the Exchange database administrator. So this is actually going to validate against Windows, not against anything on our ends at this point. And it's going to give you a thumbs up or thumbs down based on your Windows settings. Okay, great. So it shows this here. So here's your mailbox. So okay, user, let's go back to that search. Search for words, management. All right, that's the same one. So we just take it and we drag and drop into his inbox. Very simple to do. It's now recovered. Now you do have full Exchange rights here too, so you can actually search through the live Exchange server, and you can remove files. So you can say, you know what, that actually shouldn't have gone to anyone. So let's find that. All right. So we have these 3 messages. Let's right-click and let's delete them all. And you can get rid of all those messages from the live Exchange server. You can also just drag and drop the user. So it's like, oh, let's just do a full recovery of this user. It's going to go through and it's going to start putting things over the top here. There we go. So even if you want to go through the whole EDB, you can drag and drop this on the new hardware. It'll even ask you if you want to create mailboxes that don't already exist. If you say yes, it's going to save you a lot of time, and that's great. And that's Exchange Granular Recovery. Very simple program, but very powerful. Any questions about what we've gone through so far today? Good question. How do I go about getting reporting for my customers? Do you have any reporting mechanisms? Great question. I did not show that. So if I pull up my dashboard, there is a whole section called Backup History. So if we go to the graphs and you have like uploaded files count, you can either click that to get into it. So this ties into the history, this ties into monitoring, this ties into view accounts. So if I just go right into Backup History, I can filter by an account or a system. I can also filter by date, and then I can export. So I can just say, okay, I only want to see activity for the OLB partner demo account. So I apply this, and then show me, let's see for the last 2 months. So we hit apply, and now I see all the accounts. It's only showing that account. We export that to Excel. And then in Excel, you can put together all the pretty graphs and everything you need. So I would like just putting together a nice little pivot chart. People love charts. It helps you get money. It's a great question. To answer your question? Yeah, okay. Any other questions about what we've gone through so far today? Any questions about the program? All right, I think that'll pretty much sum it up for us today then. So we will be posting this recording on our website, so if you are in the Partner Resource Center actually, so if you go to the Partner Resource Center, you'll be able to see other recordings of different trainings. Again, we release new items almost on a weekly basis for the dashboard and on a monthly basis for the PC client. So at least on a monthly basis, it's good to come check the blog to see what we've posted and what is new, and also just to check news and updates. So thank you all for your time today. We look forward to seeing you out there. Cheers.